welcome to a brew day on beans, brews and bread. It's the first content I've created doing some home brewing, which I hope you've got some interest in already, or you're interested in having a go at, in subscribing and watching this channel. The main idea is to try and show how easy it is, get back to basics and do some stovetop brewing, just to show how simple or complex you can make it, the wide variety of different beer styles and types you can brew at home. Really fun activity, really creative. You can obviously make your own recipes, obviously geared towards certain styles, and tailor, beer as a product in the way that you want and interested to drink it. Turning to equipment, we have a stainless steel pan, the largest you can possibly find. Induction ones are good, aluminium, that's fine. Stainless steel is obviously better, but just try and find the largest one you can with the biggest possible capacity. There's about 9 litres capacity inside this one. We'll be putting the bag of grains inside, which will show. But that will be the primary vessel that we use to do the mash, and we'll take the mash and the bag out, let that drain, and then we'll add do any adjustments that we need. But that will also be the vessel that will boil the wort in and produce with the hops the beer later on. So just a few pieces of equipment which will be handy for you to have. Just showing you the pot, but in addition to that, it's also useful to have a mesh bag, as we have here, which can keep the grains inside, because it's going to be a brew in a bag recipe. A kettle, just to provide any additional top-up water that you might need, or for rinsing the grains later. A set of scales, obviously you need to weigh out your ingredients. A sample tube or measuring cylinder of some description, but inside there we have a hydrometer. You can see here is this item here, and that's the hydrometer there. This measures the specific gravity of the liquid after before you've boiled it and after you've boiled it, and then a standard thermometer here, although you can, if you wish to use a electronic thermometer, which is quite handy. People tend to have these now for barbecue cookery and things like that, because that can sit on the side of the mesh bag and provide you with instant temperature readings to see where you're at in terms of your mash temperatures. I've put that mesh bag inside a IKEA colander, which is one of these sort of in-pot colanders, possibly for pasta or similar. Fits inside a large pan. It just helps provide an extra means of containing the bag and keeping it away from the bottom of the pot, because if you add any heat during the mashing process, you can scorch the bag and obviously damage the brew. It's also helpful later on for draining the wort, but here we have a standard stainless steel colander, which could do the alternative as well for straining if necessary. I'll be using both of these today to lift the bag and the other colander out of the pot and rest it at the top whilst it drains. In terms of ingredients, we have a really simple recipe here, which is 1 kilogram of pale malt, or Maris Otter, or equivalent pale malt, and 80 to 100 grams of light crystal malt. This is what provides the colour to the beer. And then we have here the hops. First of all, we have the bittering edition, which is Target. This is a hop variety which has a high, what we call alpha acid properties, which obviously means you don't need to put as much in to get more bittering out of it. And then for flavour and aroma, we have East Kent Goldings, which are a low alpha variety, about 5% in this bag. And we'll use those later on, because obviously the longer you boil them for, the more bitterness you get out of them. Other important ingredients to have are Campden Tablets, which they knock out any chlorine in the water, which is helpful to sort of avoid any off flavours. And Irish moss, which is added to sort of the last 10 minutes, sort of a pinch, small amount, but out of a quarter of a teaspoon, something like that, which helps with clarity and getting a clear beer at the end of the day. So we've got those other two ingredients which we add later on. And finally, the last and most important ingredient, really, because it's yeast that makes beer, is the beer yeast. For this one, I'll be using a Y yeast yeast packet, they're called Smack Packs. This is London Ale 3, or their number 1318. These contain yeast and a small packet of sterilised wort, which is inside, which is the food that the yeast will consume, just to make sure that the pack inflates and the yeast is viable. The idea being that you smack this really hard without bursting the bag, keeping the contents inside before ready to use, and the inside pack bursts, providing the yeast that's in there with some some food and nutrients to be able to ensure that it's viable. This is a slightly older pack, but it should be okay because it's an ale yeast variety rather than a lager. So it is, strictly speaking, out of code. And also we're doing a very small batch today, which is 5 litres worth. So that will be hopefully more than enough viable yeast, even though it's slightly out of date, to create something interesting. So thank you for watching this episode, going through some home brewing equipment and ingredients. I hope you've liked this episode. The next one will be going through the brew day itself. So if you like the content, I'd very much appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up button. If you'd like to be notified of my new videos in the next video, press subscribe and the bell button so you can be notified when the next one comes out. If you have any questions or comments, then do feel free to post them in the comments section. So thanks, and see you next time. Bye.